Hey guys, I'm excited to show you the tubular bind off in the round. I am currently doing a sweater by Andrea Mowry. It's called the Weekender Light, and I just love this bind off. It is super fantastic. So if you like this video, please smash the thumbs up button for me, and also subscribe to my channel for lots of more fun bind off videos to come. Okay, so first of all, the instructions that I am going to go over in today's video, they are all in the video notes below, so please make sure to check that out. The yarn and the pattern, there are links for both also in the notes below, so be sure to go check those. Let's see. Also, this is a very long video because I'm getting really in depth on how exactly to do this. So when you need a reminder, please check my shorts for a very fast refresher version of this video so that you don't have to go through this entire video again. After you've learned it, we don't do it very often. You just need a quick refresher, so check my shorts for that one. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about the 2 setup rounds that we have to do in the round around the cuff of the sleeve to prepare for the Kitchener stitch, which is what we're going to use for our tubular bind off. Then we are going to separate all of our sleeve stitches onto 2 sets of needles. We're going to put the purls on one set of needles and the knits on another, because if you're familiar with Kitchener, you know that we have to have 2 needles working at the same time. So I'll show you how to do that. And then we're going to actually perform the Kitchener stitch. Whew, it's a lot of steps, so just hang on for the ride. Let's get going. The first setup round is going to be a knit one, then a slip one with yarn in front, and we're going to do that to the end. All right, so the first one is a knit one, and then we're going to bring the yarn to the front like we're going to purl, but instead of purling it, we're just going to slip it over here like this. Move the yarn to the back, knit one, move the yarn to the front, slip one, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, slip one with yarn in front. And we're going to continue to do that until the end of the round. Okay, getting to my last few stitches of setup round 1, I'm going to do my last slip with yarn in front, put the yarn in back. Okay, since I'm doing magic loop, I'm going to turn the whole thing over, and I want to make sure that this stays over here so that I can execute the next one. So let me get prepared. I'm going to push that needle in here, pull this needle out. Okay. Setup round 2 is a slip one with yarn in back and then a purl one to the end. Okay, so I have my yarn already over here in the back, so I'm just going to slip this first one, which of course is a knit. Then I'm going to take the yarn and bring it to the front, and I'm going to purl this next stitch. Now we slipped this one last time, so this time we're actually going to work it. Now I'm going to bring the yarn to the back, and I'm going to slip this stitch, slip this stitch here, because we worked it already the last round. Now I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, and I'm going to purl the next stitch. Slip one with yarn in back, purl. Slip one with yarn in back, purl. slip one with yarn and back, purl all the way around to the end of the round. Right, finishing my last 2 stitches of the setup round, and now it is time to separate the knits and purls onto a whole different set of needles. So I'm using a size 2 needle, and I have another size 2 needle right over here. So I'm going to show you how to take the purl stitches and put them on one needle and the knit stitches and put them on another. I'm going to pull this needle out and get it ready, and I'm also going to grab one of the other needles. Now over here I just have this floppy mess that's kind of flopping around everywhere, and it's a little painful, but if you just go slow you can get it done. Okay, so I'm going to put all of my knit stitches on the red needle and all of my purl stitches on the brown needle. So I'm just going to go really slow, and I'm going to grab this first knit stitch, put it on the red needle, and then I'm going to use the brown needle to get the purl. Pivot, get the knit, pivot, and get the purl. You can see I'm using my thumbnail here to prevent these from flying off the end of the needles as I scoop them up. So just go nice and slow, and be aware if you see any stitches getting dangerously close to the edge of the needle where it's going to fall off, just stop for a minute and use a free finger to scoop them back on again. And we're going to continue doing this until we have all of the stitches separated onto 2 needles. Okay, I just got done passing them all, and I just wanted to quickly show you what this looks like. So here is the cuff of my sleeve, and here is the opening of the sleeve where my hand will eventually go, and you can see that I have all of the purls on the inside on this set of needles and all the knits on the outside on this set of needles. So now it's time to perform the Kitchener stitch. Now, the Kitchener stitch has a lot of steps, so I'm going to give you a real quick outline. First of all, you're going to work 2 stitches on each needle. Okay? First, you're going to work the needle closest to you, then you're going to work the needle furthest away from you. Okay? Then, the first stitch on each needle is going to be removed while the second one remains in place. Your mantra is going to be knit, purl, purl, knit. Knit, purl, purl, knit. There's one more wrench in this situation. We have to do a setup row, of course. So actually it's only 2 setup stitches. So let's dive right in. The first thing I'm going to do is cut my yarn free from the ball here, and I'm going to make sure I have at least 3 times the length. So don't forget this is doubled because we're doing it in the round. So I'm just going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and just get a really long piece here so that I make sure that I've got enough. And I'm going to cut the end. And then I'm going to insert my, if I can pick it up, my darning needle. And to thread the needle, I like to fold over the end and pull it nice and tight like this, and then pull that off and take this and kind of shove it through like that. That seems to help without splitting the yarn. Okay, let me get this all untangled here. And now we are ready to perform our setup rows. So let's quickly review what we're going to do. Using the first needle on needle 1, which is the one closest to you. Okay, so this is going to be needle 1, and this one's going to be needle 2. Remember, we're only working the front half of the cuff, so these 2 needles back here, we're just going to ignore for now. We're only going to be working on these 2. So on needle 1, we are going to, on needle 1, we're going to knit off, purl on, and then on the back needle we're going to purl off, knit on. Okay, so if you're looking at these stitches, we know we're going to work the first 2 here on the front needle on needle 1, and then we're going to work these 2 on needle 2. We know that this one and this one are both going to get worked off, and this one are going to stay put. Okay, knowing that, the only thing you have to memorize is the phrase knit, purl, purl, knit. Knit, purl, purl, knit. Now, here is where the 2 setup stitches come into play. We are not going to take off any stitches the very first 2 because we have to prepare these 2 stitches before we can actually pull them off. So we're still going to say our mantra, which is knit off, purl on, but we want to do the on part only, not the off. So we're going to purl on. So we're just going to act like we're going to use this darning needle as if it was a needle, and we're going to just purl through that stitch, but then we're going to pull this all together, making sure you're not tangling up in all the other needles. Okay, and then the next would be purl off, which we're going to skip because we're not doing the offs, and knit on. So now we're going to come behind this needle and we're going to knit this one like this, and we're going to leave them on. Okay, setup rows are done. Now don't worry, we have to do this at the end as well, where basically we're skipping these 2 stitches and we're going to do the offs at the end. You'll see what I mean when we get there. All right, now we can start our mantra. Knit off. So I'm going to grab this one as if to knit it, drop it off the end, and then I'm going to turn my needle around and purl on. Now I'm going to grab my needle and pull through both of those stitches. And of course the yarn will get tangled on all the needles. Just give that a little tug. Now it's time for the back needle. We know the first one comes off and the second one stays on. And we know we now say purl knit. So we're going to purl this one off. And then we're going to knit this one and leave it on. Okay, bring the yarn back over here. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. Okay, now that we're pretty familiar with which stitch gets worked and which doesn't, you can see why the mantra can now turn into, get that little guy out of the way. Knit, purl, purl, knit. Knit, purl, purl, knit. Knit, purl, purl, knit. And you just continue like that till we get to the end, and now we've got to join this one with the one behind it. So I'll show you what to do when we get there. Okay, I'm down to my last 4 stitches here, so I need to knit, purl, oops, that goes over there, purl, knit. Now, I'm not at the end yet. I have just simply gotten to the end of one set of needles. So what I need to do is these 2 stitches here have to meet these 2 stitches over here. So I'm just going to carefully slide these needles through here. And I'm going to just very carefully, I'm going to do the red needle first, okay? I am going to just push this red needle forward, and then I'm going to slide, 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 and just pull, 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 pull. It's going to stretch that stitch out a little bit, but once I pull, it's going to put that stitch over here with the rest of the stitches on that side. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this one forward, and then I've got this stitch here that needs to match, so I'm just gonna, this one's a long cable, so I'm just gonna let it travel along the needle, and you can see that as I'm pulling the cable, it's really stretching that stitch out, but that's not a big deal at all. We're just gonna keep pulling until boonk, it goes over to the other side. Now, I have a big mess of needles here, but I can scooch these forward like this, and I need to pull these needles all the way through. My working yarn is on this side, so I'm going to pull these needles all the way through and scooch my needles into the work like this. Get these a little bit closer here so this makes a little more sense. Okay, I'm going to flip it over now because I'm doing the other side. And here's my working yarn. I'm going to tuck this needle into the knit stitches and this into the purl stitches. And now I am ready to continue working, and you can see what a beautiful tubular bind off I have on this half of my sleeve. All right, now that we have all of the stitches, the 2 from the other side over here, we can keep working. So our mantra is knit, purl, purl, knit, off we go. Knit, purl, purl, knit. I'm down to my last 2 stitches here, and I need 4 stitches to work the Kitchener. So what we're going to do in this case is these 2 both have to come off. So we are just going to omit the steps that leave the stitches on. So step 1 is knit off, and we're going to skip purl on, and then we're going to purl off, and we're going to skip knit on. And then I'm going to simply pull my thread through, and the last step is just to sew up that gap. Once you have sewn your end, you'll notice that you've got an absolutely beautiful tubular bind off. Thanks for joining me for the tubular bind off in the round, and we'll see you right back here for other fancy bind offs on Aurora Talks Knit. Thank you.